For what felt like an eternity, the WWE Universe found itself held in the grip of a shadowy enigma, a slow-burning mystery that grew darker and more sinister with every passing week. Fans tuning into their usual programming noticed something was off, not immediately, but gradually, like a storm gathering at the edge of a clear sky. It began subtly. Odd disruptions in live broadcasts, camera feeds flickering at inopportune times, eerie static replacing promos, and unexplained blackouts that seemed too orchestrated to be coincidental. Then came the visual anomalies. A dark figure captured fleetingly by security footage in a backstage hallway. A sudden interruption mid-interview that cut to a blank screen. And then, most chillingly, the disturbing image of WWE superstars lying unconscious, surrounded by a disturbing signature, 3 aggressive slashes scrawled across surfaces near them, on locker doors, arena walls, and LED screens. Each assault carried no witnesses, no warning, and no explanation. It wasn't long before speculation turned into full-blown obsession. Who was behind this wave of chaos? What did it mean? What was coming next? And, perhaps more terrifying, when would it strike again? Fans, critics, and even WWE talent themselves were left anxious and unsure, as week after week, the mystery deepened. Everyone had a theory. Some thought it was a returning legend. Others believed it to be a new faction rising from the shadows. Some thought it was nothing more than an elaborate work, a marketing stunt designed to stir interest. But the unsettling truth would soon reveal itself. And when it did, it shook the foundations of WWE to its very core. The silence was shattered. The veil was lifted. The Shield had returned, but not as anyone remembered it. This was not the triumphant reunion of Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and Dean Ambrose, the original trio that once ran roughshod through the company like a justice-fueled storm. No, this was something far more deliberate, far more dangerous. This was not nostalgia. This was a new doctrine, a new identity, a new form of justice. The new Shield had arrived, and they had made their intentions known, not through grand declarations or pyrotechnics, but with carefully crafted chaos. Their arrival wasn't accompanied by fanfare or familiar music. It came in whispers and shadows, in the silence between moments. Yet its impact was seismic. They didn't need to raise their voices to be heard. The tremors they caused spoke volumes. And with their official debut set for Money in the Bank 2025, the anticipation now borders on dread. The WWE Universe isn't just excited, they're bracing for war. But to fully understand the magnitude of what's happening, one must rewind the clock and revisit the origin story of the Shield, the legendary trio that once altered the very structure of WWE. A decade ago, the Shield exploded onto the scene with tactical gear, no-nonsense attitudes, and a mission rooted in justice. They were not entertainers, they were executioners. Roman Reigns was the power. Seth Rollins, the precision. Dean Ambrose, the chaos. Together, they operated like a unit bred for war, and their arrival heralded a new era. They weren't bound by championships or alliances. They served a higher purpose, or so it seemed. Over time, that mission evolved. Brotherhood turned to ambition. Justice gave way to power. The Shield rose to become champions, main eventers, future Hall of Famers. But success, as it often does, fractured the bond that once seemed indestructible. Seth Rollins betrayed his brothers with a chair to the back. Dean Ambrose eventually walked away from WWE altogether, reinventing himself as Jon Moxley in another company, where his rage was no longer shackled. Roman Reigns, perhaps the most transformed of them all, abandoned the cause of justice and crowned himself the tribal chief, ruling SmackDown with dominance and calculated cruelty. The Shield became a memory, celebrated but corrupted, honored but broken. For years, there were teases, false hopes of a reunion, but the damage was too great. The paths had diverged. The wounds had scarred. That chapter seemed closed forever. Until now. Fast forward to 2024, a year that would become infamous in WWE lore as the moment the old world began to collapse. The Bloodline, once a symbol of Roman Reigns' absolute power, fell apart in dramatic fashion. WrestleMania 41 saw Reigns disappear into the ether, gone without explanation, leaving fans and allies alike confused and betrayed. Seth Rollins, once methodical and composed, lost his grip on both his storyline and his sense of self. Cody Rhodes, the man who famously finished his story at WrestleMania 40, found the ending to be hollow, a promised land that felt more like exile. Jey Uso, long torn between loyalty and freedom, finally chose to walk away from Roman's grasp, only to discover that independence came with a price: loneliness, isolation, and being hunted by both old enemies and ghosts from within. As 2024 progressed, the vignettes began. Not just promotional videos, but dark, cryptic transmissions that aired without warning. A chilling aesthetic emerged: low light, muffled voices, distorted audio, and glimpses of black tactical gear reminiscent of a long-forgotten time. And then, the symbol, a triangle made of 3 crude slashes. No explanation. No logos. No names. But the message was loud enough. The system was being watched, and it was about to be judged. The chaos escalated. Seth Rollins and Damian Priest were found unconscious in a backstage hallway after a seemingly spontaneous fight. No witnesses. No clear attackers. Just one phrase spray-painted nearby: Justice Point. LA Knight was mysteriously pulled from a high-stakes qualifying match. His locker was trashed, and in its center was a black duffel bag containing 3 black armbands, each marked with a name: Rhodes, Reigns, Uso. The symbolism was unmistakable. Fans still argued whether it was fiction or reality, until everything changed on June 2nd. During what was billed as a candid sit-down with Triple H, the screen suddenly cut to black. Static erupted. And then a new video hijacked the feed. No more hints. No more illusions. Roman Reigns appeared on screen, his voice calm but seething with righteous fury. In a stunning monologue, he condemned the WWE as a corporate machine that had abandoned its soul. He said that champions had become empty, that titles no longer held honor, and that legacy had been reduced to profit. He accused the system of betrayal, not just to him, but to everyone who ever fought for something real. And then he said the words that would echo across arenas and social media for weeks to come: "The Shield returns." But not as you remember it. This time it's about correction. This time, it's about justice. The announcement didn't just break the internet, it tore it apart. Within minutes, names began trending worldwide. Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, Jey Uso. The theories had turned into truth. And just days later, the new Shield made their first physical appearance, on SmackDown, in the middle of the crowd, just like their original incarnation. They didn't come down the ramp. They didn't wear name tags or speak a word. They emerged from the audience, clad in black, hooded, anonymous. Fans stood frozen. Was this real? Was it a setup? And then, in perfect unison, they revealed themselves. Roman,
Cody, Jey.
The building erupted in disbelief. This wasn't a faction. It was a movement, a mission. 3 men once divided by titles, family, and betrayal now stood shoulder to shoulder. Not out of love.